Hello folks, welcome to SkySim. Today we're going to talk about virtual reality headsets, or more so, setting up Microsoft Flight Simulator to give you the best experience in viewing and recording should you want to share those videos with your friends. Stay tuned. How many hours have you spent searching and researching the ideal settings for the Microsoft Flight Simulator? All these YouTube channels are giving you lots and lots of recommendations, but will they really work for you? What do you really need to consider? There's really four main components of the computer, which is critical when you're playing VR to give you that smooth gaming experience. One, of course, is the motherboard. Then you've got the CPU, the RAM, and of course the graphics card. In my case, the CPU, I'm using an AMD Ryzen 7 9800X 3D. And that has 8 cores running at 4.7 GHz and 5.2 GHz turbo. When I come to the memory, I'm utilizing 64 gigabytes of Corsair, and that's DDR5, and it's running at 6000 megahertz, and that's the Dominator Platinum version. The motherboard, Asus ROG Crosshair X870E, and last but by no means least is the graphics card. And the graphics card is the GeForce RTX, and this is supplied by MSI, and it's the Supreme version, and it's the 5080 series. As for the VR headset, of course there's many to choose from, and I use the PlayStation VR 2. Of course, utilizing this on the PC, you need to have the appropriate PC adapter. It should be noted that I run Microsoft 2020 version, and all recommendations are based solely upon this package. Before we get to the recommendations, here's a glimpse of what you can expect. thing I recommend you download is the OpenXR toolkit. And this is going to be, save your computer a lot of computing power, a lot of processing power, and actually make things run a lot more smoothly. Now, of course, there are settings which needs to be made up here, and there's also settings you need to make up when you're actually in the VR mode. But what is most important is that when you're capturing, you can choose both eyes, left eye only, or right eye. And in my case, I always choose both eyes. And also, in headed menu visibility, you can have left eye only, right eye only, but again, this should be set to both eyes. When you've downloaded and installed the OpenXR toolkit, there's good instructions on the website on how do you access it in VR. Now, the most important things really is the upscale sharpening, the anamorphic, the size, sharpness, right? So the upscale and sharpening, there's various selections. There's off, NIS, FSR, and CAS. The NIS is really for NVIDIA graphics, and FSR is for AMD. I suggest you play around with these different settings to find which one works best for you, but typically NIS works well for me. Then when you start on size, have your size start at maybe 70% and keep taking that upwards, each time to see what improvement you actually get, right, before performance is compromised. And this goes the same with sharpness. Another important thing is really turbo mode, right? Is switch turbo mode to on. I saw a huge performance uptake with the turbo performance on. And, there is, a little warning there that with turbo mode on, it actually prevents smoothness taking place, but I haven't seen any evidence of that at all. If you find this is value to you, please give me a thumbs up and possibly a subscribe, because that'll let other people access this video. So here we are in the home screen for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Now, I want to show you the graphic settings which I have for VR mode. So obviously we go into options, into general options, and we have graphics at the top. And in the middle of the screen you can see, these are my settings for the PC, and I'll just go through these quickly. I'm using full screen resolution. It's a 3440 by 1440, and I'm using super resolution and balanced. Then, as you can see, again, this is mostly due to the computer configuration which I have. Most of these settings are on high, and my anisotropic filterings 8 times, texture super sampling 6x6, and this works fine for me, certainly when recording videos. But anyways, let's have a look at the VR settings. Without a doubt, I've done so much research on YouTube, and I have come to the conclusion that using temporal anti-aliasing, this is the best setting. Set your your render scaling to 80 and your AMD Fidelity FX sharpening to 100. Projection mode, make sure this is switched off. World scale, keep that round about 100, and the global rendering quality, make that as default. Now, the terrain level of detail, this needs to be set at 100. Off-screen terrain precaution, unless you want some strain on your computing power, keep this as low. The video you saw previously, I had the setting for terrain vector data as medium, buildings medium, trees medium, and grass and bushes were set to off. Volumetric clouds, medium. Texture resolution, high. Anisotropic filtering, 4 times. Texture supersampling, off. Texture synthesis, low. Water waves, low. Shadow maps, 768. Terrain shadows, 256. And contact shadows were off. Windscreen effects, where is it? Lost it. Medium. Ambient occlusion off. Cube map reflections 128 and remarched reflections were off. Now, I'm actually going to play with these a little bit more, and I suggest start at everything at low, right, and keep working up from low to medium to high to ultra, and see what you can actually achieve with the setup you have. That's very important. Forget everyone's videos saying XYZ, because that's based on their settings, their computing power. I've let you know what my computing power is, so you can judge from what I have to what you have in relation to these settings. I haven't finalized these yet. I still want to do a little bit more tweaking. For instance, I want to get the buildings up to high, and I think I'll be able to achieve that. But the whole aim for these settings was to be able to record the video which I showed you earlier on. One thing to point out is that the quality you see on the video isn't the same quality as you see in a headset. That's a fact. If you want to record, you need to keep your settings a little bit lower so you get a better quality on your recording. And if it's purely visual on headset only, then you can crank up those settings so that you can achieve better quality in your headset. Capturing video can be quite hard. With the VR2 headset, you can actually have a separate window which views what you're viewing and put that into a full screen mode. I tried capturing that with OBS Studio, and this is what I'm recording this video with. However, the use of the computer, the memory of the computer, everything was struggling, and what I found was Microsoft Flight Simulator just kept on crashing or hanging up. So I tried various software packages to capture video, and the best one I came across, which uses the smallest amount of computing memory, was Bandicam. And Bandicam, there's different options. You can select a recording area or whatever, a screen, full screen specific window, and when you've set up your VR to show the window you're seeing, and you can see that in your settings in the VR mode, and basically I use Bandicam to capture full screen for that, and that gives me one, the ability to play the game without it crashing, but also number two, to capture video. And the next videos I want to capture is cities around the world using VR. Whether I actually do that or not, time will tell. Anyway, that's all I had for you today. I really hope it's brought some value to some of you, because the frustrations I have went through has been unbelievable. There's a lot of good advice out there. However, some people are using 5090 graphics cards, 128 gigabytes of memory, and it's probably not relevant to most of us. So I hope you find value from it, and if you have, please give me a like, please give me that thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back with some more content for you all real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.